The church that I grew up in, the most chunk of time was in a Reformed church.
My parents served as elders at our church. It was a Baptist non-denominational church in California, and I became Christian myself when I was about 16 years old.
Raised in a church, accepted Jesus when I was a little kid. Played in worship bands throughout high school and junior high, and really started living for the Lord when I was about 16 or 17.
I grew up Catholic, and then I think about like 6th grade converted over to non-denominational.
I was born and raised in this church. Big non-denominational churches like this, they have their faults and everything like that, but I think one of the big benefits of it is that people get to feel a little more anonymous, so they can come and go as they please, or they can get very involved and be in small groups and get really connected. And also the way that we do worship is really conducive to like young college kids who like want to come in and have a good time, or like high school kids who are really hard to get into church and get them to stay. It helps a lot when you have something that's kind of flashy and exciting, but at the heart of it, it's still the Word of God, and I think that's what really is beneficial for us.
A lot of times there's a misconception between big church, small church, and there in the past has been like a fight, like small church thinks that big church is bad because of the production, and big church thinks that small church is bad because they're not growing. That there is a time and a place for a megachurch. I think, the most expensive building in the Old Testament was the house of God. It was the temple that Solomon built, and it was the finest gold, the finest materials, the most expensive out of everything, and it was huge. And so I think that there is a place for a big church, that there are mega churches that have screwed it up in the past, but there are also smaller churches that have screwed it up in the past too. And so it's just easier to pinpoint a mega church because there's more publicity, there's more visibility. And so I do think that mega churches have a bigger responsibility for sure in the kingdom.
I'm at Shoreline, a mega church, and the best way that I handle that is, I'm cool with them. Hey, it's not for everybody. What do you not like? And then they're like, oh, I don't like. It's almost like a production. It's just a lot of lights, and everything's like really organized and planned. And it's not for everybody.
Here at Shoreline, we do things a little bit bigger, but our God is big. Revelation talks about a church gathering that's all tribes, all tongues, all nations. It's a mega church. It's as mega as the church is ever going to be. And so God's heart ultimately is for large groups of people. In fact, we see all throughout the Old and New Testament that when God's people are gathered together, he considers that a big deal, and he loves it, and he lavishes in that worship. So I think that the mega church, if you want to call it that, is just a symbolic gesture towards that final day when the whole church is all together, and we are in complete unity, a big mega church.